Hey everybody, it is Stefan here, and boy do I have a great video for you guys today. I know a lot of you guys want to see this video because my recent video that I made comparing housing prices in America and Sweden, a lot of you were complaining that I only showed places in Stockholm. Well, Stockholm is where I live, and Stockholm is definitely not cheap. And people were saying that if you just go a little bit outside of Stockholm, the housing prices in Sweden are going to be much more inexpensive. So as you guys requested, ask and you shall receive, I'm doing a video comparing housing prices in the north of Sweden, Norrland, to rural areas in America. Which is cheaper? Which is more expensive? Find out in this video. Now, I have chosen 3 Swedish cities in the north of Sweden. Forgive me if I mispronounce these. Umeå, Piteå, and Kiruna. I think I've lived here long enough that I sort of got those right, but I might still get roasted in the comments. Just have at it. First, let's hop into Umeå. Umeå is sort of a college town. I actually have some friends that are studying up there. And even though this city is the furthest south of the 3 cities that I'm looking at in this video, it is still quite a ways up there. The furthest north I've ever been in Sweden to this point right now is Dalarna, and this is definitely north of that. So this is more north than I've ever gone. But let's jump into Hemnet and explore some houses and apartments. Like I did in the previous video, I am going to put the exchange so that we can compare the actual prices. If I show US dollars, I'll put in Swedish crowns, and if I put in Swedish crowns, I'll show in American dollars, and then also I'll do some conversions with square meters and square feet, just so you guys that are living in one country or the other can have a good comparison to go off of. One of the first things I noticed about Umeå is that it's really close to the water, and I feel like this is a thing with a lot of Swedish cities. They're really close to water, and as somebody that loves water, this is really great. So let's go ahead and hop into what they have. This first one is about 2 million Swedish crowns. And let's just take a look at some of the pictures here. I just really love white kitchens. Like the interior here to me is it's just beautiful. And really much cheaper than what you would pay for this in Stockholm, for example. You can see beautiful white kitchen. I love that. They seem to like it too because they're showing a lot of pictures from this room. Bedroom. God, I just love the fresh Swedish style. Everything looks so clean. Everything looks nice. I have to say, I think I like Swedish interiors more than the traditional American interior. And except the showers. I feel like showers are oftentimes bigger in America. And look at that. You've even got a little balcony here, which is kind of cool. So that's what about $200,000 will get you in this first one. Let's take a look at some other places here. This one is slightly cheaper and slightly smaller. Just to get an idea, let's hop into the pictures here. And it looks pretty nice. Definitely more space than you would get for this price in Stockholm. I mean, you get like basically 1-room studio apartment. With like maybe 200 square feet in Stockholm for this price. So just to get an accurate comparison, I want to compare the cities that I'm looking at in Sweden to cities in America in rural areas that have similar populations. Of the cities in Sweden that I'm looking at in this video, Umeå has the largest population, but let's just confirm what is the population of Umeå. It is around 89,000 people. So I wanted to find a place in Texas with a somewhat comparable size to Umeå with right around between 70 and 90,000 population. And so we came up with Temple, Texas. So here's a place in Temple, Texas for about 3 million crowns. And it looks like it might be part of a community here, potentially. No, that must have been the real estate sign. They've got a basketball hoop in the front yard. Very American. You don't see that as much in Sweden. Really cool with the high ceilings here. But much darker. You saw the Swedish homes had a really bright, airy presence. Maybe that's because it's so dark in Sweden all the time. They need to have more bright colors. Brown walls. You can see, I do like the high ceilings, but overall I like the colors more in the Umeå places that we looked at. Definitely more of an antiquated, I think that's a word, like an older style, whereas the Swedish one was really bright, fresh, modern. But you can see this place is absolutely huge compared to what we were looking at in Umeå. Let's look at a place that's a little bit smaller and a little bit cheaper. So this is a 1,400 square foot. So for Texas, this is pretty small, but for Swedish standards, this would still be pretty big. And you can see it looks like they've got some updated features. I still prefer a white kitchen. I'm seeing a lot of brown in these Texas homes, which is interesting. But yeah, this is like basically $1 million crowns in Texas. 3 bedroom, 1 bath. You get a lot of space for that price. So compared to Umeå, you're still getting more space for the price that you pay. And here's one more example of that. This is, 1.5 million Swedish roughly, and you're getting basically 2,000 square feet. So you're getting a much bigger home than you would get for that same price. But then again, we're really looking at houses in America, and most of the places we were looking at, in Umeå at least, were like sort of apartments. But I really think living in apartments is sort of a Swedish thing. Like in Texas, everybody wants to own a house, whereas in Sweden, like I live in an apartment in Stockholm. I think if I were to live in other places, like in Norrköping, when I lived there, I lived in an apartment. So it seems to be like apartments is more common. But let's hop over to Piteå, the next Swedish city that we're going to look at. And again, just look at the map here. There is water just everywhere around. I mean, this is really cool, how much water in all of these small little Swedish towns. I absolutely love that. Love that. This is further north and a smaller population than Umeå, which we were looking at in the last video. But let's look at a little bit more of a house vibe, because we haven't really done that yet. And this is only 850,000 crowns. That's like $100,000 basically. And you can get an entire house. So it seems like the further north we're going, the better deals are getting. Let's take a look at the inside. Snow everywhere. You probably don't get this much snow in Texas. That is for sure. But wow, they definitely have some yard space here. And things are looking a little bit bigger. This is a little bit more of that antique style as well. It's a little bit more country. Not my style personally, but, for people that want a little bit more of that country look, this could be cool. A lot of shots of the kitchen. But here you see a lot of that white and gray. And I don't know how many people in Sweden have this rug. This rug is like, it's probably from IKEA. So many people have that rug. I don't know why. I've seen it everywhere. Really cool staircase. I like that. I have to say, actually, I like this country style more than the ones that we were looking at in Temple, Texas. And you do get a lot more space in a home, of course. And for $100,000, that is a steal. Maybe I'll move to Piteå. That is just absolutely insane. I mean, that is crazy. But also, I think if you live in some of these smaller Swedish towns, there might be less economic opportunities. I mean, I don't know. I think living in Stockholm, it's really opened up a lot of doors for me financially with different opportunities to do different jobs for different people. It's been really easy to find jobs. But then again, when we live in a post-pandemic world where people are more able to work freely online, maybe it could be worth it to live in a more remote location and just save a ton of money. Here is another house, and really affordable as well. This is, under $200,000 US. And it seems like there's snow in all these pictures. I mean, then again, it is winter in the north of Sweden. This is just a lot of snow. That's crazy. And again, more space because of a home. And actually, if you're comparing the homes in Piteå for price and space-wise, these look very similar to price and space-wise as what you would get in Texas. Maybe a little bit smaller in general. Like you can just see like this room, for example, it's sort of tight quarters. But even though the Swedish homes tend to be a little bit smaller than what you would see in maybe Texas, I still prefer the Swedish style. It's interesting. And here's the floor plan. You got a garage as well. And this is a single car garage. I think most of the homes in Texas are going to have a multiple car garage, like a 2-car garage is pretty standard in the US. Here's a 201 square meter place. And this is, a little more than $300,000 US, I think. I'll flash it up on the screen. And this looks bigger. Oh, you have a little pool or hot tub here. Not really sure what that is, but that's cool. And a little entryway. You're getting much more space now. And to get a place like this in the Stockholm area or the surrounding suburbs in Stockholm, this would probably be $1 million. So you can definitely see the difference in living in the north of Sweden. It's pretty cozy, actually. Let's go even further north to Kiruna. Kiruna is like basically the last frontier in Sweden. Sweden is really, really big. Like where I'm at in Stockholm, it's still about 6 hours of a drive from the very southern part of Sweden, but Stockholm is still in the southern half of Sweden. And to go from the very bottom of Sweden to the very top of Sweden, it's like almost from like the bottom of America to the top of America. It is like extremely tall as a country. So when you go all the way up to Kiruna, you are way, way up there. I mean, I don't know too many people that would just drive to Kiruna from Stockholm. That would be maybe a multi-day affair. I mean, that is a very, very long drive. Most people would fly a plane. I actually know a girl from Kiruna. It is an old mining town, basically. I think they actually still have mining going on. And because the population is so small, it's like under 20,000 people, I believe, that they would actually move the entire town to be closer to where the mining was going on as they were mining different areas around the town. Very, very small, very, very cold. I don't think I would handle living in Kiruna very well myself, but let's go ahead and take a look. Here is about maybe $80,000 for a 2-room apartment. $80,000. That is insane. To think that, somebody my age could basically go in and buy an apartment in cash and never have to afford like a mortgage payment or something. That's pretty insane. A little bit of an antiquated style here again, but for $80,000, you're getting a little view here, a little balcony. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I guess if I could work remotely, I could just live in Kiruna. Maybe I should get like 4 or 5 friends. We all move to Kiruna, so we have some fun with each other. Here we go. 5 rooms. 5 rooms. And this is also a similar price as the last one. 5 rooms. Let's see. This is just covered in snow. I wonder what time of year these pictures were taken. This is definitely, it looks like a sauna. It's like the living room. A little bit too country for me. This actually looks like they got a sauna in there. Yeah, that's cool actually. To think that $80,000 and you get a sauna. I think the further north you get, the more you get those like country style wooden kitchens as well. Wow, that's a pretty good deal for $80,000. Who wants to move to Kiruna with me? Leave a comment below. We could just start buying up apartments. Here we go. Let's go a little bit more on the luxury end, a little bit more modern finish. Let's see what we can get for $200,000 in Kiruna. Wow, that is a sweet view. That is cool. $200,000. I bet they can see the Nordic lights from here. The Nordic lights? I mean, I bet they could see the northern lights from here. That must be the highlight of the place because they're not showing a lot of pictures here. Here is a home. It looks like Strandvägen. I could tell my friends I moved to Strandvägen for only $100,000. Wow, you get a whole house for that. I'm going to put that in my Instagram bio. Just bought a house on Strandvägen, and then I just won't tell people what city it's in. For those of you guys that don't know, Strandvägen is like one of the most expensive streets in Stockholm, right on the water. I think those apartments on that street go for multiple millions of dollars. For this last comparison, I wanted to look at a town in the US that would be similar to these extremely rural areas in the north. And everybody said that there are a lot of Swedes in Minnesota. And I didn't realize how many Scandinavian Americans were in Minnesota until doing the research for this video. I was like, yeah, there's a concentration of people from Scandinavia in Minnesota. And this was really interesting. If you look here, in the United States, there's about 11 million people that are either from Norway, Sweden, Denmark, or have some sort of Scandinavian heritage. That's only 3.8% of the population. But in Minnesota, 32%, over 1.5 million people, and there's about 5.6 million people living in Minnesota. So that's 32% of the population in Minnesota has some sort of Scandinavian heritage. That to me is mind-blowing. So I found a very, very small town in rural Minnesota called Grand Rapids, Minnesota. And it's basically in a really rural area. Minnesota, the climate is going to be more similar to Scandinavia. Really, really cold winters. Maybe that's why all the Swedish people went there. So we're going to take a look at this town. This town is even actually smaller than Kiruna by a very small amount. I think it's about 11,000 people here. But you can see it's far away from Minneapolis. It's sort of in this north central part of Minnesota. And so let's compare these prices. Now you can see here already we're looking quite a bit more expensive than what we saw in the very north of Sweden. But this place looks super nice. I'm very intrigued to click on it. And 3,500 square feet. This looks like a really nice place for like almost $500,000. But yeah, this is really cool. Again, brown kitchens. What is it with Americans and brown kitchens? Very, very interesting. But there are a ton of rooms here, a ton of space. It looks like it's near a lake too, with overlooking. I mean, this is probably like one of the nicer places I'm gonna guess here in Grand Rapids. Let's look at some other houses. Again, you've got these big, nice houses for more than what you would probably spend in these north areas of Sweden. Here's one, 3-bedroom, 1-bath. Similar to some of the sizes that you would see in the north of Sweden. And this almost looks like it could be in Kiruna, I feel like. Like if you just saw this house and you didn't know that it was in Minnesota, actually. And you look at the interior as well. When you're looking at the interior, it's, you know, these white kitchens that you always see in Scandinavia. Sort of interesting here. Let's keep looking a little bit. And these places, 1-bedroom, 1-bath, about 1,000 square feet. So this is sort of similar to those little places we were looking at in Kiruna also. And here you have the wood. I wonder if I were to just show you guys different houses and I didn't tell you if it was in America or Sweden. I wonder if you guys would be able to figure out which were the American homes and which were the Swedish homes. If that sounds interesting to you, let me know. I could easily make a video like that. So I'm curious what you guys have to say. What do you guys think is the better deal between living in rural America or rural northern Sweden? That's gonna be interesting, so definitely leave those comments down below. For me, if I had to choose between rural Sweden and rural America, I think of all the places we looked at in this video, I'd probably go with Texas just because I'm not a super cold weather guy. I'd much prefer the warmer climate. And also in the rural Texas that we looked at, you were still just a few hours drive from some big cities. And I'm a big city guy. And you have like Austin, Dallas, San Antonio, all those cities not super far away. Whereas if you live in like Kiruna, for example, the nearest big city, like a big city like Stockholm, for example, is like a day's drive away. And that's super, super far. You wouldn't just go there on a weekend drive. I mean, that's insane. So that would be my preference, I think, just of the places that I looked at here. But everybody's different, so I am curious what you guys have to say. Let me know. If you found value in this video, hit that like button. That lets me know that you like this type of content, that you want me to produce more of this type of content. That's a really good feedback signal for me. And with that being said, I will see you guys in another video.